Now that we've learned how to add video to our apps, we're going to see how to do the same with audio. But this time we're going to take things a little bit further and actually show you how we can create buttons to allow the user to interact with the audio directly, and then we get full control over what those buttons actually do. So fairly straightforward, but very powerful as well. Let's start in the usual way by creating a new project. I'm going to call this Sound Demo, and then usual settings, blank activity, and all the defaults there. While that's getting created, let's jump over to Chrome to download a sound file. So you can use any sound file you like for this, but I'm going to get mine from soundbible.com, and there's a huge range you can get, all for free. I've just selected the funny sounds there, and we'll go for the kid laugh one, which is always good. So very nice. Warms your heart, doesn't it? So just click on the name of the sound effect you want to use. And then I would recommend clicking on the MP3. It's going to get annoying actually, isn't it? But there we go. And then I'm just going to download mine to the desktop. You might want to rename it to something simple. I'm going to call mine Laugh. And then we can import that into our app. We're now ready to go. So you may remember from the last one that what we're going to do is to create a res folder. Sorry, in the res folder, we're going to create a new directory called raw. And that's where we're going to store our MP3 file. It doesn't appear there automatically, but if you make it smaller and bigger again, it should do. There it is. Fantastic. So if you're on Windows, you can just drag and drop your laugh.mp3 file straight in. Unfortunately, on Mac that doesn't work at the moment. It's worth giving it a try because it may have been fixed in a later version of Android Studio, but if like me that doesn't work for you, you just need to drag and drop it in. So we'll do that by control clicking or right clicking on the raw folder, and then for me it's reveal in Finder, and then just double click on it there and drag laugh.mp3 right in there. There we go. And then it sometimes will appear there automatically. There we go. It has now appeared. If it doesn't, just control click or right click and synchronize raw, and then that will appear. Great, so we've got our laughter file in the app. Now it's just a matter of playing it. So we can do that with a couple of lines of code over in main activity. So first thing is, as before, we need to import the media player. So import android.media.media player. There it is. And then we can actually play the thing with just 2 lines of code. So we're going to create a media player variable using media player. So that's the type of the variable that we're creating. I'll call it mPlayer. And we're going to create it using mediaplayer.create. There it is. And I'm going to do things slightly differently this time. We still need a context, which as before is just this. But this time I'm going to create it with the file itself. So I'm going to use r.raw, so R for resources, raw to get the raw folder, and then there it is, laugh. So that creates the media player with that specific file. And then to play it, all we need to do is type mplayer.start. Simple as that. So now if we run that, we should find that it creates the media player object, and we get the lovely laughing sound coming out of our app. Here we go. So I'm just going to choose that device and then run that. And wait for it. There we go. I hope you heard that. So that played on our app over here. There's our sound demo app. So now we've got sound up and running. I'm going to give you a quick challenge, and that is going to be to alter our app so that we have two buttons. One is play and the other is pause. And instead of then playing the sound file the moment the app is run, it plays it every time the user clicks play. And of course, pause, we want to pause the sound from playing. Now, I haven't shown you how to do pause before, so you might need to do a quick bit of Googling to try and work out what the pause command is. But I think you might be able to do that. All right, so a moment to pause the video and give that a shot. Good luck. All right, hope that went well. I'm going to jump over first to our activity main XML to add those buttons in. Let's just get rid of our logs for the moment. So I'm just going to drag in two buttons. I'm not interested in layout at all here. So that top one's going to be my play button. Set the ID to play button. And we'll update those. And then same with pause. Pause. There we go. And I'm going to change the on-click attribute to pause audio. And then for the play button, you won't be surprised to hear that I'm going to call that play audio. There we go. That's all we need here. So let's jump back over to main activity.java and create our methods to play and pause. So let's do play first. We want public void and then play audio. And this is being called by a view, which we'll call view, which we know is the button, but we don't really care about. And this is where we want to play the audio. So the obvious thing would be to just take the code from there and pop it in there. That will work, but we'll then have some problems when we want to pause the audio. So let's just see what happens if we want to create our pause audio method. So same as before. Now, if you figured out what the pause command is, if I write that in here, it turns out to be mplayer.pause. Simple enough. If you didn't figure that out, shame on you. But of course, if we move that into here, the mplayer variable is only defined in this method up here. So what we're going to need to do is define the mplayer variable outside of these two methods. So again, that's simple enough. I'm just going to take the bit of code that defines our mplayer variable and pop it right outside of those two methods. And then, of course, we don't need to define it again because it already exists. So now we've got a global mplayer variable which we can access anywhere in our code. And just before we run that, we just need to add android.view.view. There we go, otherwise it won't pick up on those. So you might be wondering exactly whether this is going to start and restart the audio every time, or whether it's actually going to stop and then start again where it was before. So maybe have a quick think about that and what you expect to happen, and then we'll find out when we run the app. So first of all, I better put sound on my machine before I panic. There we go. Okay, so we've got our play button working. And pause definitely works because the audio has stopped. But the play button actually restarts. Let's see if I can make that clear for you. So I've paused it near the end, but the play button actually restarts it. So we might have been able to anticipate that. All we need to do to fix it is to define our mPlayer variable, or say what we want our mPlayer variable to contain in the onCreate method. So this will then create the media player with this particular sound file, and then this just starts playback and pauses playback. So now we should get the behavior that we want. So the pause button is actually pause rather than stop, which is what was happening just now. Oh, well, to be fair to the buttons, it was a pause button. It was the restarting that was actually setting it back to the beginning again. So let's take a look now. There you go. So hopefully you can hear the difference there. If we now just play, we only get the very last bit of the audio. Great, so you could use that to create an effective stop button as well, but you'd probably be better off using the official mplayer.stop if you wanted to actually stop the audio rather than pause it. Great, so we've created our audio player. In the next video, we're going to go on and create some more controls for this app. Specifically, we're going to add a volume control and a seek control, which allows you to go to anywhere in the piece of audio. That's pretty much everything you need for an audio player app. And it will also introduce us to the slider, or as they're known in Android, the seek bar, which will allow the user to drag a point on a bar back and forth. So they're very useful, particularly in media players, and we'll see how to use those in the next lecture. See you there.